Well, tomorrow is the day that they're going to come and start my cleanup process. But I realized I haven't shown you the devastation. Now, this is not from the hurricane that just came through, Beryl. This is from May, I believe it was 23rd, when we had a tornado here, and it just, I mean, took down, well, you'll see. I'm going to show you. But this is my driveway. This tree right here lost that huge limb. It doesn't look like much on the, but that limb is probably almost 2 feet in diameter. And is just massive. Came across, crushed this fence, came across, crushed this fence. We kind of straightened it up because there's cows on this side, but just a huge limb. I would like to know from someone of you that maybe are arborists or amateur arborists. I have got that chunk out of that tree right there is probably 3 feet tall and 2 feet across. It's a huge chunk out of this oak tree, and I'm just wondering, I don't see any way that oak tree lives through this. I would like your opinion on it, because I'm gonna probably have them take it down. It's a beautiful tree, one of my favorite trees on the property, but they're going to be building a brand new fence here, and we're going to have what I believe is going to be a dead tree right next to it, going to be ruining the fence in just a few years to come. So let me know what you think about that. Let me zero in a little bit and just show you what it is. It's just this limb here is just has just peeled off. It's not hanging by that. It's hanging by a piece in the ground. It's that stub in the ground is what's holding it up. But a huge chunk out of that tree. And if you know anything about trees, professionally or whatever, tell me what you think about that. If you think that tree would survive that big of a wound. And anyway, let's go look at the other devastation. So I'm at the front of my property now. My fence is just behind me. And this is my southernmost fence. It is completely, not completely, it is almost completely devastated by trees that have fallen on it. Huge trees. I'll show you, get a better shot of them from the other side, but just want to show you, I'm on my neighbor's property right now. Just want to show you what fell over this fence. It's just kind of hard to see the fence because there's so much brambles and trees and carnage in the way. But this whole fence is coming down and going to be replaced. All the trees obviously are going to be picked up and removed, but while they're doing that, I'm going to have them remove these 2 trees. They're hackberry trees. Hackberry is not a desirable tree, and I don't know whether you can see my power lines right there, but these trees, if they ever come down and fall that way, they're going to take my power lines down again. So I am not interested in that, so I'm going to have them completely clear out this fence line with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 trees, and I'll show you that in just a second. Again, the very front of my property, my fence going this way. That tree line there is my fence. So we're riding along the fence line right now. Power lines overhead. Those are the power lines I just showed you. We're riding along the fence line, most of which was taken down by that tornado. Again, hackberry, that root ball on that hackberry right there is probably 10 feet high with the roots extending off of it another 5 or 6 feet. So huge root ball, huge hackberry, probably close to 30 inches diameter. Hackberry just, they're a pretty tree, but they just don't last long. They're the first thing to drop. Again, taking that down, there's a horse apple tree or a bodark tree right there. But all this is coming down. This whole tree line right here is coming down. And again, my fence line is in the midst of all those trees and brambles and stuff. More trees right here that fell on the fence line. Again, going to be gone. I've just never shown you this, the extent to which I lost, so many trees, and almost all of them fell on a fence line. Some of them on this fence line, some of them on a fence line to follow, to show later. This is it. That portion of the fence, you can kind of see right there, was not affected. Maybe 50 feet of fence that doesn't have brambles and carnage on it. But all this is gone. All this is gone. Brand new fence all the way across the southern side here. 1,000 feet of fence going to be built. They're going to start tomorrow, so I need to go ahead and get this done. Realized I hadn't shown you this before. More cedar that came down. And then I've got a cross fence here and a gate. This keeps the cows on the other side. On this side, I've got orchards and blackberries and things like that. So got to keep the cows out. So this fence stays. I'll probably rebuild it someday because I'm probably going to take this gate out. But this is where this stops. But my property keeps going another 500 feet at least. Let me show you what's going on. So we're on the other side of this cross fence here now. And just going back down, going on down the fence line. That is a bodark tree, and it's about 3 or more, it's more than 3 feet in diameter. Huge root ball. Again, you can't, the video is not going to do it justice. And if you know anything about bodark or Osage orange, it's called also ironwood. You can't cut it. I mean, it's like, when you cut it with a chainsaw, sparks actually fly out of your chain. I mean, it's that hard. First time I cut it and saw sparks, I thought, well, I hit a nail or something. No, sparks fly out of it because it's called ironwood. It's just, you'll ruin, I don't know how many chains you would ruin trying to cut this tree up. I had a fence here. My grandson and I took this fence out mainly to get some of my good metal. I've got a lot of good metal over here. I missed a piece of it there. Big 4-inch angle iron. I'll come pick that up. But that's the big bodark tree. And here's another one, not quite as big as that one, but another bodark tree that's fallen. And then from here on out, it's really not that bad. At the very edge, back of the property, I've got a tree down way back there. The devastation started at the very front of my property, and it ends pretty much right there with that tree right there that's the top's taken out. And it didn't hurt, that I can tell didn't hurt anything another 20 yards further, which is where that big tree line starts. That's the very back property, my back fence. I don't see anything back there that's down. So the tornado seemed like was about 800, 900 feet wide, because it started at the very front of my property. My property is about 1,000 feet deep, and it stopped about 20, 30 yards away from the back of my property. So just an amazing amount of devastation. Some of those trees you see laying down, I'll try to zoom in a little better. Some of those trees were taken down by the forestry mulcher, and I just hadn't cut them up yet. But over here is some devastation that just really took down some nice oak trees. You can see the one laying right there, and one a little further on over here. Now, I didn't realize it at first, but this group of trees right here, about 3 or 4 trees fell and crushed that livestock shed. First livestock shed I made years ago out of cattle panels and corrugated metal. I included it in my cattle panel greenhouse ebook as an alternative to using the cattle panels for something other than a greenhouse. It's completely, I mean, almost like this was planned that way, just perfectly crushed. Insurance company looked at all that too. Okay, we've gone a little further north because the wind came in this direction, came like this, and took down that tree. I'm probably going to have them take down all these trees here. They look to be sweet gum, most of them, or elm. And that old building right there is an old pig pen I had years ago. Got a concrete floor in it. One of the first things, probably the first thing I ever built on the property, and it's still standing after 40-something years, which is amazing. But anyway, a tree came down on those IBC totes, and it looks like at least 2 of them are broken and busted, so I'll be discarding those. I never did anything with them, but I kept them for water catchment and whatever, in case times got tough. And of course, that tree right there is uprooted, big tree. Another one laying just beside it. One going this way, one of them going that way. You can see it. May or may not be able to see, but just under this tree here, past it, there's a huge tree, 2 or 3 huge trees laying at the very mouth of my pond. So those are going to get pulled out, put in the burn pile. Going to be a huge brush burning. I had a shed roof over this fuel tank here. It's where I store diesel and put my log splitter under it. And basically it just picked it up and just picked it up and laid it over. And my scrap metal guy came and got all the sheet metal off of it, but it broke in 2 pieces when I picked it up. But that's what it is, just a shed roof. Probably 8 by 16, I think it was. A lot more devastation here. This is just to the right of that tree right there. There's a fence post, a pull post, and there's a fence that goes that way for about 200 feet. And as you can see, it was completely crushed under the weight of all this. That root ball there is, gosh, 8 feet in diameter probably. That cedar tree was just looked like it was just twisted off and laid down that way. I don't know whether you can see it, but on the other side of the cedar tree, 2 more trees down on the fence. So we've got a lot that's going on. Again, supposed to start tomorrow. I don't know if I showed you or not, but I had 2 pear trees, just completely broke this one off, and this one was just split it and whatever. It was just not a viable tree. My Orient pear, I think it knocked one little old limb out of it, and that's it. And that thing is covered in Orient pears. Now let me show you what really hurt. So I don't remember if I showed you this or not. This is where my Fuji apple tree was. It was full of apples. I mean, full of apples. I bet it had 1,000 apples on it. It just absolutely just broke it in half. I just had to pick it up and carry it to the burn pile. But this was a big loss, because it was a really nice 25, 30 foot Fuji apple tree that was, for the first time in many years, was just absolutely loaded down with beautiful apples, and it is gone. This is the deck I just built. There was a huge tree right here, probably 16, 18 inches in diameter, maybe bigger than that. It fell, and just the bark of it just barely touched the edge of that step right there. Everything else on the property fell that way, fell south to north. This tree fell this way and spared my new deck. Thank you, Lord. I've already filled in the big hole and everything, but that was a huge hole for a pretty good size tree. This is the front of my property. That is my front fence line there. Obviously cars driving up and down. Took the top out of this tree here, so that one is probably going to get removed. I just don't want, I don't want any more dead trees falling down. I've had my fill of that. What attracted me to this property was the beautiful oak trees. I mean, there were, I don't know, 30, 40 huge oak trees. Now, this was 40 years ago. They weren't this big, but they were just really nice big oak trees. And I have lost about a dozen or more, probably much more than that, in the last few years to hypoxylon canker. It's kind of a cancer of oak trees here in the South. And for that reason, I'm tired of burying oak trees. It's depressing because they're so majestic. They could be just living their lifespan. It could be just they're done. But some of them are huge and some of them are not. I mean, I think that one would have had many years to go had it not taken the top out of it. Another one here laying down. I mean, just inches away from my fence. It hit my fence, and they're going to repair that. We hadn't really worried about the cows getting out because there's so many limbs and stuff intertwined right there with the fence that cows just wouldn't want to try to get out on the road. Took the top out of this tree, again, a beautiful oak tree, and just ripped the top smooth out of it. I don't know. I may try to save that tree and just tell them to leave it alone and then deal with it some other time, because it's probably going to die. That tree just fell. All these are hackberries. Again, hackberries are good for that one thing, and that's falling down, dropping limbs and breaking off and everything else. Here's another tree that fell on our common fence, my neighbor and I, and just pretty much, I've never seen a root ball like this. This is probably one big tree and 2 or 3 little trees. That is probably 15 feet from there to there. Because it's in a creek bed, and it just laid back that creek bed, and so that's going to be gone. That fence is going to be completely rebuilt. Another big hackberry right here with a huge root ball. That root ball is 12 feet in diameter, and laying across our fence, laying across our fence there. and one more up in here I won't get to, but one more up in here. About 500 feet of fence we figured is going to have to be replaced, and that will be done soon. I think the heavy equipment guy is going to burn here. I've had that pile sitting there, some of it for well over a year, just anticipating burning it. And I think that's just going to be a great place for him to burn some of this green stuff. Green stuff's not going to burn very well, but if he lays it all on this dry stuff, it will. Right now it's too close to that tree. I'm going to have him with the big dozer and stuff push it this way. This tree is dead pretty much, as you can see. It's got a little bit of life at the bottom of it, but it's been dropping some huge limbs for the last couple of years, and it's finally done. So what I think I'm going to have him do is move it this way, push that tree over on it, and it'll burn everything. It'll burn everything up. So that's where I think that's where he's planning on burning the trees on this side. Now the other side's a different story. We haven't picked out a good place to burn there yet, but should have two huge burn piles. Should be very interesting to watch the excavators pull those trees over, push those trees over, dozers push down the fence line. I'm just going to get a lot of footage of it. It may be 2 or 3 videos. Plan to get a lot of videos of that, and I don't know, I'm a guy, I'm interested in stuff like that. I love watching stuff like that. And then whatever's not done by them, whatever's not cleaned up by them, stumps or whatever, then I'll get my forestry mulcher to come over here again, hire him to come over here and clean it up. It should be really, really nice when they get through. And just looking forward to it, starting tomorrow, I hope. I just thought I'd show it to you. It's, just got a lot of devastation. I just never showed you, and I really meant to. But it's going to look completely, my place after 40-something years, 44 years of me living here, is going to look completely different. Going to be missing a lot of good trees, a lot of nice trees, or what used to be nice trees. That one was a beautiful tree right there, 10 years ago before the canker got it. But I am just so excited about them getting started. I've been waiting about a month since we talked about it, and waiting for it to dry out, and then it dried out, and then we had the storm come through. They were supposed to come 3 or 4 days ago, and the storm came through and couldn't do it. So that's Storm Beryl, the Hurricane Beryl that some of y'all are dealing with, even way up north. We dealt with it quite a bit. Didn't really see much devastation from Beryl because most everything that was gonna fall had already fallen, I guess. So, but that's what I got going on. I know it's a long video and you may not want to watch the whole thing, but it's gonna look completely different. I wanted to show you the before, and so you could appreciate the after, I guess is what I'm saying. And I wanted to kind of document it for myself and family and whatever, what it used to look like, because it's gonna look different. It's gonna look a lot different. That fence line has never been cleared off and, pretty and slick and clear. But it may be cleared now. I don't know. Got one oak tree on that fence line. That's a big majestic oak. Looks like it might have the canker, so I don't know. And it's really on the fence line. I got to talk to the fence guy and see if he can build the fence, with it in the way. If not, then it's going to be gone too. Anyway, thought I'd show you all this. Hope you enjoyed it. Got to look at the before, because the after is going to be really good, I think. All right, I think that's it. We're gone.